The other ones?
Yeah, you also had
Galtima and so I thought somebody was also saying it was me that was part of that. Galtima had been in the civil service. You know, he's been in the civil here. I think was representing the Federal Character Commission and so many things. So he's very well experienced. And you know, these Boko Haram sect members are highly learned in terms of what is going on in the political calculations. I'd stayed for about 7 years. I'm from Borno Central. I'm from the royal family, royal Kamani family. I also practically went and contested Borno Central Senatorial District for 3 years on the field. So it's an area that is more or less like my terrain, so to say, because even when I graduated in '82 and became the Minister of Commerce and Industries representative in Maiduguri, Borno Central was my constituency during Buhari era. So there were times we were now supplying some of it at 2 naira. Today is 1,800 naira. But a bag of flour was 25. That was my bit during the Idiabong era. And I did my university in the University of Maiduguri. I did my primary school there. So it's a terrain that I had walked, I've ridden bicycles. So I've known that terrain very well. And I know also the personalities very well in that area, yes.
Okay. Yeah, but the inclusion of, pardon me, General Muhammadu Buhari as part of
because
the negotiating.
Yeah, the reason is this. It's like Azazi had rightly said. Based on my practical experience of what I've seen in that state, that Borno State, it's a political thing, for crying out loud. What had happened? There was a prolonged civilian transition of the IBB. It started all during that period of time. When these young boys like Ali Modu Sharif, they were my classmates. We were in the universities. They went to school somewhere in the UK to do an export study. And when he won the gubernatorial election, I had the privilege of visiting him before the swearing in. He said, "Liman, how is the Nigerian Port Authority?" I said, "Sir, it's not Port Authority, it's Maritime Authority." You understand? And so I had a one-on-one discussion. He said, "Look, I am not still the governor of Borno State because there is this claim that I didn't go to school. And so the only person that is likely to now go and demonstrate that I went to school is Liman's elder brother, Sunusi Liman, who eventually became the manager investment, Borno Investment, my elder brother." So I said, "Look, sir, you went to school with Ali Modu Sharif." I whispered to him, "Go and swear by the Holy Quran that actually he went to school." And that was what happened. He testified for about a year, and Ali Modu Sharif became the governor of the state. So these are individuals, these are personalities that we knew. But what brought them to prominence? IBB's transition. 8 years, he needed senators. He needed boys that will go and be elected. So funds were being appropriated for this campaign for 8 years. Abacha came in another 5 years after the small interregnum of Ernest Shenefan. My neighbor, though, staying out of this. And so within that period of time, another 5 years of empowerment. And why Borno State? For 1,000 years, it's a dynasty that has been recognized worldwide, the Al-Kadimi dynasty, our own dynasty. Transition from what this is. So if you want to have political establishment in Nigeria, and you needed the northern hegemony, you must go to Borno Central. And that's how Buhari, who is Komflani Konkanuri Island, together with even the Tinubus, always find lodgment in Borno. That's why the politics of Borno is totally different from the politics in any other place. The Sakashim Ibrahims with the Sardaunas and all that. So that brought the Buhari equation. And that was the center of the opposition, the ANPP. Ali Modu Sharif, working the system, being senator repeatedly, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, through the empowerment, became an establishment there. You understand? So that explains to you how the party structure was inadvertently given to Ali Modu Sharif. So by the time you had a popular Buhari who could not use the party structure, conflicts started taking place within that hierarchy. And a lot of those Boko Haram sect, the purist Islamic sect, identified with the pure Buhari, not because Buhari called them in, but because he gave it is assumed based on his antecedents, the PTF and all these other things, and the Idiabong era of the Y, and how he was a minister of petroleum without, these things are open in the field. So a lot of religious far right who have the template of what they call this Ratul Mustaqim, they know who is a munafiqin, a bad guy, the good guy, the ugly guy. Islam, it's a religion of erudition. So these people read. They read from Genesis to Revelation.
So, but why
Yes.
do they want him
What they want him is that-
arrested and prosecuted?
They want who?
Senator Litman.
Exactly. The reality was that the party structure with him, it's an intra-party conflict that has gone the way it had gone. Ali Sharif was, as I told you, over the years I've been walked the system, was more or less a guy who knows how to play the system. So he was ANPP, but essentially was back in third term. He was ANPP, and when Jonathan Goodluck came out, he said, my God, that's my candidate. He flew to South Africa. And most of you are not even watching that program. And for a Greek gift or so, Ali Sharif's in-law became the Minister of State for Finance. Minister of State for Finance. So by the time now the election was coming, everybody knew, the geopolitics of oil and gas knew. I said, when Buhari comes in, you're going to have the petroleum industry bill. You're going to have a lot of problems. You're going to also see most of these oil blocks being proposed to be given to China or Russia will indeed go to China and Russia. So the geopolitics also so many things.
Well,
And at the end of the day, yes, hold on, sir. It's important that I landed there. At the end of the day, you now saw that split. You now saw that split. So the religious far right that moved into the ANPP had a perception that Ali Sharif was also a religious far right because he used to fast every Monday and every Thursday. And as I told you, in Islam, they have a template to know who is a pure Muslim and who is a pure Christian, a born-again Christian. They read the Bible, they read the Torah and all that. So by the time now these calculations was taking place, they say, why is this man who is supposed to be ANPP, why is he on the same bed with the Jonathan Goodluck? Why is he on the same bed with the OBJ on third term? So that's why now they started having the split. And when they started having split, he came with his ECOMOG, the military wing, and started being very strong, and everybody was hallelujah. There was a time I was the secretary to the government, Kingibe, also from Borno Central, or thereabout, there, but also from Borno State, came back and said, look, I'm the secretary to the government of the Federation. The way this young man is going with his military empowerment of the ECOMOG may cause crisis, so I need a state of emergency. He mentioned that in one of his papers. And nobody had even cared to pay attention because consistently he'd been like the part of the establishment, even though he was wearing a different dress. And so that confusion was what triggered the conflict between himself and Mohammed Yusuf that led to the extrajudicial killing of the Mohammed Yusuf without any explanation. They went to the federal government, oh, we are still, okay, all right. It appears that justice is being delayed. Al Jazeera, you've seen it. The man that is pretending to be Mr. Pure, you see him dancing in Ethiopia and giving dollars. It's all on the YouTube. So an Arab Spring in the form of Boko Haram came in. And that's why they consistently reject the fact that we are not Boko Haram. We are Adil Sunnah, so it's quite a long one. You know, where this, and the people said, no, you must be Boko Haram, so that what is happening? To have an establishment that will have a credibility to say, okay, these guys have a very wrong notion. Let's take them on. But over the years, truth filtered out. And Andrew Azazi was saying, look, I'm the chief security advisor. I know these things. It's not religious. They may be bombing a church. They may be bombing a mosque. It doesn't make it religious. But I think it's political. It's the way we go about our political calculations. And that was the acid test. It says, why did you let the cat out of the bag? You must be sacrificed.
Okay, now, aside from the demand that the former governor be arrested and prosecuted, there are other demands of release of their members in prison, mediation in Saudi Arabia and all that. How realistic are all this?
They're not realistic. Because, as I told you, Ali Sharif, if you say you want to touch Ali Sharif, there's a hell lot of establishment behind the system, because this is a developing country. You will never, at the risk of being impractical, you will never have a free and fair election. And normally politicians, as we've even seen in the case of Lagos State, politicians win political angle when they do certain things that is extraordinary. Ribadu never got votes in, he was a presidential candidate. He never got votes from an Action Congress-controlled state. It was Jonathan Goodluck that got this. So politics is something that nobody can sit down confidently until the elections come out and you go to the Supreme Court. A lot of backhand things do take place. You cannot put numbers.